Trail cameras, also known as game cameras, are outdoor surveillance cameras designed to capture photos or videos of wildlife or other outdoor activities. They are typically used by hunters, wildlife enthusiasts, and researchers to monitor wildlife populations, track animal behavior, and study the habits of various animals. Trail cameras are equipped with a memory card to store the photos and videos they capture. The memory cards can be removed and replaced to view or transfer the images to a computer or other device. They are an excellent tool for studying wildlife and gaining insights into their behavior and habitat. Every so often, though, a trail camera captures something mysterious. This happened just recently when a trail camera captured a strange-looking creature standing next to a bear. We talked with the individual who posted the photograph who wishes to stay anonymous, and they said that the image was taken in northern Utah. They explained that they couldn't figure out what the creature was, and so posted it to various pages in order to try and get an answer. All this did was cause more confusion, as people couldn't work out what it was. One user said the following: "Many trail camera photographs are hard to study, as the object in question can sometimes be at a weird angle, and this makes it hard to work out the size of the creature. However, in this image we can clearly see that it's standing next to a bear and that it measures over twice the size of it. It's really hard to figure out what type of creature this could be." End quote. Others carried on and said that due to its size and shape, it matches the overall description of a large, hairy humanoid, also pointing out that Utah has been a hotspot for these creatures, with hikers and outdoorsmen who've ventured out into the wilderness in and around Utah, saying that they've had several run-ins with these creatures. The user who posted the photograph said that they were part of a team that investigated Bigfoot sightings, and that throughout the years, the team got sent various images and videos of mysterious creatures, but noted that the majority of them could be explained. They said that this was one of the only ones that they struggled to explain. They further added that they were nervous to post the photograph as they didn't want to be ridiculed or have people think they were trying to prove the existence of Bigfoot. The poster said they just generally have no idea what this is and wanted to see if other people could explain it. Interestingly, for hundreds of years, mysterious humanoid creatures have been encountered across the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia. One interesting story is that of the original Murfreesboro mud monster sighting. Considered to be one of the most peculiar sightings ever reported, the Murfreesboro mud monster was a humanoid creature that was mass-sighted and would eventually lead the police of the small town of Murfreesboro to conduct an official investigation into the beast to bring about some order to their small town. On the 25th of June, back in 1973, within the small town of Murfreesboro, Illinois, a young couple would claim to come face-to-face with a massive bipedal humanoid creature, later referred to as the Murfreesboro mud monster. According to the young couple, their encounter happened sometime around midnight while they had been parked at the side of a river. The couple, a young man and young woman by the names of Randy Needham and Judy Johnson, claimed that they decided to stop their car at the end of 23rd Street, located in Riverside Park, in an area that gave them a clear view of the surface of the big muddy river. The reason for their late-night isolation was later explained by the couple as being a necessary precaution, as Judy's father had disapproved of the two dating, and so were unable to find a more public location to hang out. Although the exact time of the sighting is unknown, it's believed that the event occurred sometime between 12 to 1 in the morning, as the couple were listening to the radio and engaged in intimate action. As Judy Johnson and Randy Needham were in the middle of their interaction, the couple claimed to have heard what they described as a piercing roar, later detailed by Randy Needham as sounding somewhat similar to an eagle shrieking into a feedback microphone. The source of the sound appeared to have emanated from a nearby brush that rested only a few yards away from the vehicle near the side of the big muddy river. Scared that a large, dangerous wild animal was nearby, Randy Needham shut off the car radio while he and Judy Johnson glanced around the immediate area, looking for any signs of a creature. A few seconds later, the couple claimed that another loud shriek had been heard that was slightly similar to the first, and watched as the brushwood in front of their vehicle began to sway dramatically. Hoping to scare away the creature, or to catch a better glimpse of it, Randy Needham immediately started his car and turned on the headlights. Within seconds, the creature exited from the brushwood and began rushing towards their vehicle. The couple would later describe the creature as having been a large bipedal ape-like creature that they would claim looked like an oversized gorilla. It walked on two legs and was estimated from a sitting position to have stood around 8 feet tall, with matted white hair and with spots of mud covering different sections of its body. As the creature walked closer to the vehicle, the couple claimed they could smell the scent of a foul, skunk-like odor. Fearing for their lives, Randy Needham immediately reversed his vehicle and drove out of the area, claiming that they narrowly escaped the monster. Once the couple made it back into the downtown area of Murfreesboro, Illinois, they entered into a heated debate on whether or not they should report the sighting to the local police. Judy Johnson at first refused to file a witness report, believing that it would lead to issues with her father, but was convinced by Randy Needham, who believed that the monster would soon attack other eyewitnesses. It would be at around 2 a.m. that the couple would decide to drive down to the Murfreesboro police station and report their sighting. Once Randy Needham and Judy Johnson arrived at the police station together, the couple immediately began filing a report with the former patrolman of the Murfreesboro police force, a man by the name of Ron Manwaring, who worked as a police chief for over several decades. According to Officer Ron Manwaring, the sighting had been described as an unknown creature sighting, with the beast having been compared to an oversized gorilla estimated to have been around 8 feet tall, with matted white hair that was streaked with mud. Although the officers were hesitant to believe the claims of the 2 young adults, they began to grow increasingly interested when they discovered that the couple was scared of both public ridicule and Judy's father finding out about their indiscretions. Additional reports of the Murfreesboro mud monster would be made by several police officers who were tasked with investigating the original sightings report of Randy Needham and Judy Johnson. Believing that Randy Needham and Judy Johnson were not playing a prank and had nothing to gain from the witness claims, the Murfreesboro Police Department would send 2 officers to investigate the claims further. The 2 responding officers, Merrill Lindsay and Jimmy Nash, were sent to the location of the sighting within minutes and arrived at the area of the supposed boat ramp in Riverside Park. Within a few minutes of investigating, Officer Jimmy Nash found a set of peculiar tracks that he described as being approximately 10 to 12 inches long and roughly 3 inches wide, following in a long line down the riverbank side pressed deep into the mud. However, before Officer Nash could investigate the tracks further, he would then report that he and his partner heard what they would later detail was a horrifyingly shrill screech emanating from close by. Believing that the creature was hiding in some nearby brush, waiting to attack, Officer Nash attempted to pull out his revolver, but dropped it in a panic and ran back to his police cruiser and left the scene of the sighting. When questioned about the sound, Nash claimed that the sound was the most hideous sound he had ever heard and had originated at an estimated distance of about 300 feet away from them. He said the following: "The most incredible shriek I've ever heard. It was in those bushes. It was no bobcat or screech owl. We hightailed it out of there." End quote. Officer Jimmy Nash and Officer Merrill Lindsay would return to the Murfreesboro police station, hoping to gather additional officers for backup before returning to the site. It would be at around this time that the officers would report the screech and their encounter with the unknown creature, sparking serious interest from the local law enforcement. At around 2 a.m. on the 26th of June, Officers Jimmy Nash and Merrill Lindsay would return to the area of their encounter alongside Officer Bob Scott and the original eyewitness Randy Needham. The 4 would soon discover several more tracks located near the muddy banks of the river, with impressions that appeared to originate from within the water and exit back into the water. Officer Merrill Lindsay would return to her patrol car to retrieve a camera for documenting the evidence, and the 3 others would stay in the area of the sighting, following the tracks down the riverbank. It was at around this time that the 3 men claimed to hear splashing in the river that sounded like a large creature walking in knee-deep water. Although they were unable to see anything in the water, the men would continue their search until they heard the same horrible scream that Officer Nash had reported earlier in the morning. The sudden scream caused the 3 men to run back to a patrol car, where they took the time to regain their composure and once again begin their search for the creature. For the next several hours, the men would claim to hear the same eerie splashing sound they believed to have been the large bipedal creature walking through the water, but would discover nothing. Their search would continue through the early morning until the sun rose. At around 7 a.m, the group would end their search, believing that the monster had disappeared. On the 26th of June, roughly 14 hours since the end of the reported sightings of the Murfreesboro mud monster from the Murfreesboro Police Department, a 5-year-old boy by the name of Christian Barrell would claim to witness a monster with a similar description at around 10:30 in the evening. The story was so compelling and considered substantial evidence of a Sasquatch-like creature roaming the American countryside that the story would eventually be picked up by the New York Times. The sudden popularity in the town, coupled with the momentary fame of the eyewitnesses, would lead to the Murfreesboro Mud Monster legends becoming a solidified piece of history for the town, and would lead to the end of the hunting parties for the creature, as the residents considered the monster to be a symbolic mascot to be adored. It's difficult to give an exact number of caves in the Grand Canyon, as new caves are still being discovered and the number is constantly changing. However, it's estimated that there are over 1,000 known caves within the Grand Canyon National Park boundaries. These caves vary in size and shape, and many of them are not accessible to the public due to safety concerns or to protect the delicate cave ecosystems. Various interesting discoveries are said to have been made at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's due to the vast, largely unexplored caves. There's been whispers that the area is holding many secrets, with one of the lesser-known ones being that the area may have once been the home of an underground ancient civilization, with those who explored the area saying that artifacts were found and that they belonged to the ancient Egyptians. This interesting story starts in 1909 when an explorer by the name of G.E. Kincaid found a variety of strange artifacts while exploring the Grand Canyon. He was sent there by the Smithsonian Institution, saying that he was told to explore the large caverns that were covered by a large entrance that was almost inaccessible. The team was led by Smithsonian anthropologist S.A. Jordan, but it was Kincaid who had allegedly made the discovery. The team reported that once inside, they found that the caves were in the shape of a wheel, saying that once they made their way inside the caverns, they found various artifacts, including copper artifacts and statues. The team also reported that the area was so big that it could have been inhabited by up to 50,000 people, noting that it was easily big enough to hold an ancient civilization. Although people living underground sounds like something from a movie, Derinkuyu is an underground city that was inhabited by people during the 8th to 7th century BC. Officials said the following about the discovery. Once the team started to look closely at the artifact, they noticed that they didn't match anything in their records, and didn't match anything that had been found in the region, most notably those of the Native Americans. These artifacts more closely resembled those that were coming out of Egypt. The big question was, how did these ancient artifacts end up in a deep cavern within the Grand Canyon, and was there an ancient Egyptian civilization that had somehow made their way here? End quote. The Smithsonian later came forward and said that the team that had been sent down into the Grand Canyon didn't find anything, and that they have no proof that anything had been found. The only reply that the Smithsonian has given about the story is saying that they didn't find anything. As of right now, skeptics have said there is no credible evidence to suggest that there is an underground Egyptian city beneath the Grand Canyon. This is a common theory that has been circulating for decades, but there is no factual basis to support it. The mysterious photograph captured inside the Grand Caverns. There's been a number of interesting photographs that have been captured in national parks. One of these was taken in the Grand Caverns in 1895 by Orrin Jeffries. There's a limited amount of information on this photograph, but the story goes that amateur photographer Orrin Jeffries was exploring an unmapped section of Grand Cavern, something that few people have done due to stories of disappearances and encountering mysterious creatures. The caverns he was exploring were located in southwestern Virginia, and in recent years there's been a variety of theories that have been put forward that suggest the caverns aren't just caverns, but could be home to underground networks. In fact, this has been backed up in recent years by hikers who have said that they discovered underground networks while exploring the area. Orrin Jeffries made his way into one of the caverns, and due to not being able to see anything, decided to conduct a photographic experiment where he would point his camera out into the darkness and take a long exposure shot. For those unaware, a long exposure technique takes advantage of slow shutter speeds, which in turn allows the user to capture the motion of a moving element or more light from a night scene. During one of these sessions, he heard something moving deep in the cave, and due to him being alone and worried, he decided to set off one of the flashes in order to see what it was. After he left the cavern, he developed the photograph and could see that he had captured what appeared to be 3 humanoid-like creatures. He then approached the local newspaper and told them that 3 humanoids could be seen looking in his direction, and that after the photograph was taken, he ran out of the cavern as fast as he could. Interestingly, when researchers later enhanced the photo, they detailed that they could see one of the creatures raising its arm, with some suggesting that the humanoid may have had something in its hand like a rock, and that had Oren stayed just a few more moments, he may have been attacked by the creature. The mysterious disappearance of Adam Clayton Lyle Jones at the Grand Canyon. Though the investigative services branch of the law enforcement generally try to solve cases as efficiently and quickly as possible, this sadly is not always the case, and most often than not, cases tend to grow cold for months or years afterwards. These cases are not closed and remain open and may become active should new evidence surface. Kathy Cupper, one of the spokespeople for the investigative services branch, said the following: "It's always there on the table. Sometimes a tip will come in, or someone will hear something, and it will go active again." End quote. Adam Clayton Lyle Jones is one of the unfortunate missing individuals whose case has grown cold. Jones went missing on the 31st of March back in 2011 and has not yet been found. The man, who was only 23 at the time of his disappearance and would now be 33 years old, was last said to have been last seen by his family in the Gulf Breeze in Florida. His family claim he left home early in the afternoon in a blue Oldsmobile Delta 88, and that the only personal possession he took with him was his laptop, no other notable belongings. Little did Jones's family realize that would be the last time they would ever get to see him again. It took until the 5th of May 2011 for a park ranger to acknowledge the abandoned Delta 88 car parked at the South Rim center of the Grand Canyon National Park. At the time, Jones had not yet been reported as a missing person and therefore not initially considered as a victim. The park ranger managed to contact Jones's parents about the abandoned car, who then proceeded to file the missing persons report to the police. Contents found within the car included an itinerary of various routes of California cities and places in Denver, Colorado. Surprisingly, there was not a mobile phone in the car, as Jones did not have his phone on him when he went missing. To this day, investigators have no idea whether he was lost or injured in the wilderness, or if something else, far more morbid, might have happened. Furthermore, there is no actual evidence that he even entered the Grand Canyon Park, no photographic or witness proof that he was there, apart from the car parked in the car park. With so little to go off, investigators have had a difficult time finding any clues to Adam Jones' whereabouts. Interestingly, in the last few months, various people across the world have reported seeing unidentified objects falling slowly to the ground, leaving a large trail of smoke. This in turn has caused eyewitnesses to call police and report that something is in distress. Investigators who arrive on the scene, thinking that it's a plane and that they will need further assistance, are surprised to find nothing in the area to indicate that something was in trouble. One of these objects was recently spotted above England, with footage showing a large object leaving behind a smoke trail. Those who saw it detailed that it looked as though something was on fire, and described it as an unidentified object that was dark in colour. One resident by the name of Miss Jeffries was able to capture clear photographs of the incident. She said the following: "This is what we captured on the same day and time. We live in Hilperton, Trowbridge. We too thought it was an aircraft. But what grabbed our attention was how it was falling vertically straight down at such a slow speed. It was just bizarre. I would love to find out what it was. It was the strangest thing we have ever seen." My friend's husband said the International Space Station crew were docking that day, so perhaps it could be debris from that. There was something so strange about it that we stopped to watch. I didn't want to worry my children, so before taking photographs, I just said it could be something amazing falling from space. I think that's why my son didn't seem at all worried. My youngest did come downstairs at bedtime crying because he was frightened, not knowing what it was. He calmed down eventually." End quote. Interestingly, other people living close to the area said that they also witnessed it, and again described the object as falling slowly, but said that they couldn't make out what the object was. A man by the name of Mr. Craddock said that the mysterious object fell for over 20 minutes, and that the vapor trail it was giving off was a dark black colour. He said that his friends in London also saw the object. One police officer commented on a post that shared the photograph and said the following: "This incident was investigated by officers in the region, and although we could see an object falling to the ground, no one came forward to report a crash." Sometimes these objects can be explained away as things like skydivers or even aeroplanes, but in this case, it did look like something was falling to the ground. My family that lives 25 miles away sent me photographs of the event, and I have to admit, I've never seen anything like it before. It was very bizarre." End quote. Shortly after the photographs were released online, a worker from the United Kingdom's aviation unit said that it was most likely a plane, and that due to the angle of it, the object appeared to be falling from the sky. Many didn't buy this explanation, though, and said that for the past few years these strange objects have been reported across countries. Oddly enough, after looking through gathered data, researchers have said that the United Kingdom is a hotspot when it comes to mysterious sightings, and detail that hundreds of mysterious aircrafts have been spotted since the early 1940s, which has caused officials to conduct further research into the aircrafts to try and determine what they are and where they're coming from. The mysterious surveillance object. On the 5th of August, back in 2010, the Royal Air Force released a series of documents surrounding reported sightings of unidentified objects, with additional documentation about a specific incident 50 years prior that Winston Churchill himself banned the reporting of, out of fear that the story could create mass panic and lead to the degradation of society. The banned reports claim that on the 5th of August back in 1944, a Royal Air Force reconnaissance aircraft was returning from an undisclosed surveillance mission from France or Germany. However, while travelling over the English coastline, the surveillance crew claimed to have been suddenly intercepted by what each crew member described as a peculiar metallic object that began to match their aircraft's course and speed alongside them, before the object quickly accelerated into the distance and disappeared entirely. As the craft had hovered alongside their plane, several members of the crew rapidly began taking a series of photographs of the object to later verify their claims, as they possessed the equipment necessary to take higher quality images and gather sensitive data of enemy aircraft. However, as they began this documentation, they claimed that something appeared to be off about the unidentified object, as the unknown craft appeared to emit no sound or use any form of known propulsion to generate its lift. According to the released documents, any proof of the object gathered by the team has been completely destroyed or lost. Given this strange development, many believe that the event was covered up in its entirety, with researchers coming forward, including one man that wrote to the government back in 1999, claiming that his father had overheard the event while in a meeting alongside Winston Churchill and the then American President Dwight D. Eisenhower. The United Kingdom has investigated mysterious aircrafts in the past. The most well-known investigation was known as Project Condeen, which was conducted by the British Ministry of Defence's intelligence staff between 1997 and 2000. The purpose of the investigation was to determine whether these mysterious aircraft sightings posed a threat to national security, and whether they could be attributed to any known technology or natural phenomena. The Project Condeen report, which was released to the public in 2006, concluded that the majority of sightings could be attributed to misidentifications of known objects or phenomena, such as aircraft, balloons, or meteorological events. However, the report also acknowledged that a small percentage of sightings could not be easily explained and might require further investigation. The British Ministry of Defence also maintained a reporting and investigation system called the Unidentified Object Desk until it was closed in 2009. Interestingly, since then, various workers have come forward and said that evidence has been tampered with, and that various sightings that couldn't be explained weren't included in these files. As of right now, the British Ministry of Defence has stated that it would continue to investigate any credible reports of mysterious aircrafts that might have national security implications. But what do you make of these recent discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.